Once a cheater, always a cheater. Now, it doesn't help that the Pokemon Company is corrupt and the tournament organizers play favorites by allowing Wolfe Glick to cheat.
Salty as ever, I see. We can tell this is going to be a banger of a video, especially when you have Verlisify attempting to slander Wolfe Glick and Pokemon in the same breath. So, before we dive into this madness of a video, I need to state this early so people watching do not get things twisted. I do not, repeat, do not support cheating or hacking in any facet whatsoever. I think it shows a lack of consideration for your fellow player, and it's also against the rules. However, that is for hacked Pokemon, aka impossible Pokemon, such as, for example, a Scizor with Flash Fire or Swampert with Sap Sipper. You get the idea. If it is possible to get it legally and legitimately in the game and is presented as such, that is where things are on fair grounds. So, having a Pokemon with perfect IVs in place does not mean it is hacked. Sure, Pokemon that are created through genning and other hacking means are very well possible, but unless you can scan that Pokemon specifically, you cannot say 100% that such and such is hacked. Unless we are talking about Pokemon with websites as names or as the official trainer name, then yes, those are likely hacked, seeing how they come from hacking sources. With all that said, ladies and gentlemen, let us get into the video. We can tell from the title and thumbnail that this is another attempted character assassination of Wolfe's character, and it seems like Verlisify just cannot let the past go. Hard to believe all of this started back in 2016, where Verlisify accused Wolfe of being a VGC cheater because of a damn Raichu. A Raichu, I may add, that was perfectly battle legal and posed no competitive advantages. Also, the video you made involving this subject was a battle from Nugget Bridge, not VGC, so that was one of the biggest things that shot you in the foot from the get-go, alongside your cactus-like personality and outlook on things. Also, to note this as well, 17 minutes into the video being live, and he already hides the likes and dislikes. A truthful person does not hide anything, and if you are being so honest like you claim countlessly in your videos, why are you hiding the ratings and moderating comments that call you out on said bullshit? That seems very, very suspicious to me. Just going to be 100% honest with you there.
We got different trainer names on all of the Pokemon. That is a major sign that something is going up, because you just have other people cheat for you, and then that's it.
At around the 50 seconds mark, he points out the different trainer names in the team Wolfe used. This is such a weak argument to make because trading is a thing. I guess it didn't occur to you that trading can be done even between top tier battlers as well. It's very possible to have a full team of Pokemon that have different names. Also, why is it that the only conclusion you draw out of people trading you Pokemon is that you can have people cheat for you? If you trade with someone, you get a Pokemon you didn't have to grind for yourself, which makes it easier for team building since you have more variety. Yes, it is against the rules to use hacked Pokemon, and that is where the trainer discretion comes into play, and you go by your gut feeling. If a Pokemon looks hacked, don't use it. If it looks legit, use it. Simple as that. Also, you say Wolfey has a history of cheating. That is a blatant lie and a character attack on him because he never did cheat. The evidence you provide as your receipts are shaky at best, and given your track record on the site of you lying and starting fights with people, I highly doubt your evidence holds up and has any legitimacy in the end.
For starters, it's got 0 attack IVs. Now that's actually pretty tricky to do on a legendary Pokemon, because a legendary Pokemon like Moltres caught in the wild will roll for 3 guaranteed IVs. Now because of hyper training, we can't look at a 6 IV legendary like we could in the past and say, oh, that's clearly hacked. But with this, that means it has to avoid rolling max IVs in the attack. That's a roll right there, and then to get 81 on the attack, that's a 0. Now, to be fair, it's 1, 2, 3, and then 4s when it kicks up. So there's that chance, but also avoiding the 31 IVs in attack and then just getting the RNG for that stat. But most likely it's 0 IVs. So I'd say 1 in 64 just for the Moltres right there.
So we get to the 2 minutes mark here, and he starts off with saying that Galarian Moltres has 0 attack IVs. So, it is possible, albeit difficult, and would be tedious to soft reset for, but it is possible. Also, hypertraining is a thing too, as you mentioned, so kudos to you on that. He goes on to talk about marks here in the video, and while marks add an extra layer of uniqueness and rarity to that Pokemon, it still isn't impossible to get a Pokemon that has optimal IVs that also has a rare mark. Suspicious? Maybe, but it's not impossible. Wolfey does have a wide outreach as he has a big following online on multiple platforms and is well known in VGC. So out of any one of his fans, it is possible one of those fans who got lucky with this capture gave Wolf that Pokemon. We've seen it before as Shiny Dracovish as an example of a Pokemon Wolfey received as a gift from one of his fans to use in his battle videos.
Wolfey must be the luckiest person in the world because his 2016 Worlds team that had objectively better Pokemon than the opposition, which is the only reason why he was able to become World Champion in 2016, his Raichu had odds of 1 in a billion. It took 1 in a billion soft resets to get that Raichu. Nah, ain't happening. Also, the Kyogre that he used, which didn't belong to him, would take decades of soft resetting to obtain naturally because it was a max IV before hyper training with perfect IVs, 0 attack as well. It was not legitimate. So it's funny how we see these same things from known hacked Pokemon then spilling over into Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Now at the 5 minutes mark, Verlis goes on to say that Wolfey won in 2016 because he had better Pokemon than his opponent. No. You seem to forget that it's not the Pokemon that wins battles, but rather it is the player who wins. You can come in white hot with legendary Pokemon and spam those in battle and think you're absolutely unbeatable, but then get dunked on by someone with non-legendary Pokemon and they themselves are an actual good battler. It's about the skill set of the player, and also RNG is a factor as well. While it may be much harder to get perfect IV Pokemon back in the Generation 6 days, it was still possible. This is what I mean by shaky evidence, guys. These are circumstantial things being used in a false context of Wolf being a cheater. When you're involved in competition, it is a huge mistake to cheat, and if you even had that stigma suggested onto you that you were a cheater, that is something that would be defamatory unless it was actually true. Wolfey never cheated nor encouraged anyone to cheat. Also, to your point about Normie Girl, you assume that the person is a hacker without actually being able to confirm anything as such. These are just your speculations, no facts.
So what this means is that when you see a yellow EV summary, the Pokemon has 508 EVs because those extra 2 don't matter, compared to a Pokemon with white, which has every EV filled in. So if we hop back over here, also shows a bigger reason why this Incineroar is hacked. Because this would be one of the easiest Pokemon to make. That all you have to do is use 26 HP up here, 14 zinc here, and then you pour the rest into defense. So it actually would be 252, 140, 116, but then you're still getting your 510, and a legitimate player would be able to EV train the Pokemon pretty quickly that way. But we don't have that because this Incineroar is clearly hacked. The person just injected in only the necessary EVs when ginning this Pokemon, and then they handed it on over to Wolf, which is also shown by the inconsistency. Other Pokemon that have the EV plus going on are maxed out. Now, does that mean some of these are legitimate? Who knows? Does that mean they were just genned in with a 510 anyways because that's what happens? Probably.
He goes on about EVs for a bit in the video, but at around the 7 minutes and 30 seconds mark, he talks about this being a rental team and that we can only see so much from it, which is true. And it leads me further to state that it makes his whole video shaky at best. Unless you had the actual data of said Pokemon, aka being able to read their stats as being hyper-trained or not, you cannot say for sure these were hacked. Now, someone can easily turn this around on me and say, well, because of that logic, you can't say these are legit. While that part is a fair point to make, the point I'm making throughout this video is that, once again, he has no solid factual proof of his claims of WOLFEY being a VGC cheater, and that this is him trying to rehash an old fight that he can't seem to get over. He also talks about Incineroar being hacked because it doesn't have 510 EVs, which is just him trying to further push the WOLFEY is a cheater agenda. Also, to your point about these wacky EV spreads, it's actually quite common to see such details and specific EV spreads and strategies going into VGC, because seeing how the meta is much different, you see different Pokemon. And with that, you see different sets, different spreads, and the like. It's normal to have EV spreads that touch on more than just 2 or 3 stats. You could invest in a certain stat to meet a certain threshold, such as outspeeding specific Pokemon or having enough bulk to tank X amount of hits. While it might be tedious for a lot of players, if you are truly dedicated to the craft, then this isn't that big of an issue since you know what you're doing.
WOLFEY has a history of cheating, he has a history of impossible Pokemon, he has a history of doing stuff like this, and with all the time he puts into practicing instead of training his Pokemon, his energy is put elsewhere instead of making sure these Pokemon are meticulously perfect. And then doing that over multiple teams and multiple Pokemon over multiple years and multiple tournaments and stuff like that. It's not something you're going to find from a legitimate player, and it just kind of compounds the advantages that cheating gives you in Pokemon. It gives you far more time to practice, which is going to give you an advantage over the opponent.
So at around the 10 minutes mark, he goes on to repeat his BS on how Wolf is a cheater and yada yada yada, but also goes on to talk about burnout from obtaining your optimal Pokemon with their optimal spreads. Sure, for a casual player, I can agree there, especially if you take a long time to optimize your Pokemon. However, if you are experienced and you know what to do and how to optimize your training as best as possible, it could very well be a cakewalk for you in comparison to the average Joe. He also goes on to say how Rillaboom is likely hacked due to it having better stats, which is total BS because IV breeding is a thing too, and perfect IV Pokemon are easier to access in Sword and Shield in comparison to past generation games. In fact, Sword and Shield is easily the most accessible game when it comes to competitive Pokemon. There are many legitimate ways that you can get a competitively viable Pokemon in Sword and Shield. It's actually pretty crazy. I myself have boxes upon boxes of bred/trained Pokemon that I obtained on my own, and some through trades from very reliable people who are clean players. It isn't that hard to obtain a full team of perfect IV Pokemon. This ain't Generation 5. He also claims that people get mad at him because he says don't cheat. Okay, let me say this as an experiment. Don't cheat in Pokemon, guys. Done. It's completely fine and respectable to be against cheating, but that's where the conversation doesn't need to be pushed to the point of you being toxic and people go against you because of your persistent toxicity over something that was once a noble thing to stand against. People will rebel against you regardless of your stance if you come off as an asshole and an annoying little fly that buzzes around in everyone's face. How hard is it to say cheating is bad and then leave it at that? If people want to cheat and get themselves busted, that's their own damn fault. Are you the type of person who would run up to someone in the streets when they have a weapon? No. You'd call the cops and have them deal with it since they are in that position. If you think someone is cheating, reach out to the Pokemon Company or any of the event staff who are in power and can make a difference. You constantly pointing fingers and saying, blank is cheating, essentially makes you the Randall kid from Recess of the Pokemon community, and nobody could stand that kid. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think I said all that I need to say here in this video. There really isn't anything else to debunk or disprove here. He doesn't really prove anything about his claim of WOLFEY being a cheater. It's just more fluff that essentially boils down to him still being hung up on Wolf from 2016. Anyways, fam, thank you very much for watching. Have yourself a damn good one, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.